Welcome, brothers, to another episode of Bro Me Too. It is your podcast host, JC. And Bro Me Too is a relatable podcast for other men to help men grow with all types of topics, whether if it is on the social, mental, physical, spiritual aspect of life. Today's topic is based upon a man named Jay Shetty. He has his own podcast called On Purpose. And this topic is going to be a conglomerate of several different episodes and just put into one in a very simple form and basic um, way to just get it to you guys. So basically, we are in the month of March now. Um, and if you haven't necessarily sat down, bro, and just thought about it, it's about time for us to understand what type of year we have going on. I think a lot of us go into our new year and either we think we have new goals, or we just say, hey, new year, new me, or so on and so forth, but never actually intentionally have an idea of what this year is going to be about based upon maybe our purpose, our callings, the careers that we have, um, the internal battles that we may be going through, all of the above. So for that's basically what we're going to start with, and going into the idea of the social culture of comparison, and how that is a big thing these days, and also leave you with some ideas of how we could better ourselves as men, or if you're a woman, as people, whether if it is in this year as a whole, whether if it is starting this week, or if it's just today, all the above. So with that being said, we start with learning that there's always four different types of years that people would have. So we have either a learning type of year, an experimenting type of year, a performing year, or a thriving year. Um, and we have to reframe how we think about the year based upon the year that we had last year. Um, for example, with someone that did start a new business, that started a new business last year in 2023, and did not have any guidance, or did not have any type of a way through basically growing the business, they had to understand and learn what that niche is about. They had to learn what that industry is about, what if you're in a clothing brand, what the clothing brand is like. Um, and then in 2024, have a redirect mindset or focus going into this new year. So if you are someone that is going into this new year of 2024 with something new, fresh, um, or something that you just been sitting your hands on that you've kind of started with but didn't necessarily go anywhere with, we all have to start with a learning year. All right, so we have to start with learning how to do what it is that we want to do, whatever niche it is. Jay ended up talking about like whatever skill it is, how you want to build that skill. What's the goal in development in yourself first for this skill, whether if it is learning how to set up the camera and do a podcast, or if it is learning the industry of that clothing business online, what people like, um, and then becoming better. So that is more important than being seen, because is becoming better internally, or underneath the scenes of whatever whatever niche that you are going through, is what's going to propel you into the next step, or the next thing that you have. Essentially, your tank is empty, and you need some way to figure out how to fill up that gas tank so you can get moving. All right, and then the second year, or the second identity for the year, is the experimenting year. So you filled up the gas tank, you filled up where you have an idea where you're going, you have the GPS going. So now it is time to experiment and to put out whatever it is that you're doing, or to try out whatever it is you're doing, whatever niche, whatever the career goal is, um, all the above. And so with that, you have to take time to try these things out before going big. What Jay said was, before he could be able to tour the world and talk to people and speak about the many different aspects of life, to grow and in motivation and finding your foundation and this, that, and the third. He had to be able to speak to the people that was around him first. No, this is going to be a time where you will have a lot of no's, a lot of critics, a lot of naysayers, a lot of people that will not support you because it may be a niche that is something that is not normal. For example, for someone that went to school to be a doctor, but you have a really big artistic background or a really big love for being an artist, you may not have a lot of people that support you. So in this experiencing realm will definitely be the time where you will be trialed a lot, which is where you have to go towards the people that are very much more supportive of you. You have to go to God too to first and foremost understand what this purpose is or what this niche is something that is meant for your purpose for the future. And then you also have to grow another level of or another barrier of skin to take on those no's, those bumps, those bruises, and keep bobbing and weaving in the midst of in the midst of your boxing match between people, yourself, a lot of yourself, and any other obstacle that may be trying to fly within your way. Satan gonna do one thing. He's gonna make himself known in the midst of something that he knows is important for you to place your hand on. So trying different caveats of whatever it is that you're doing is also important too, because although that you may see a lot of people doing one type of niche or doing the niche in a certain way, it may be your way, but it may not be your way. You may find a different route of the same niche to be just as influential for yourself, maybe easier for yourself, maybe just more settling into your spirit that you have to deal with. And so the third year or the third level is the performance. So this is where you find your groove and your rhythm. You know, you've experimented different things. You've talked to different people. You've been able to speak across the world. You've been able to put your clothing brand on different platforms and different social medias and all of that. And now you found what really works for you. You found your groove, your rhythm, and this experience now, well, the experience that you just had now jumpstarts to the performance that you're going to have within this next level, because it creates it comes from the persistency that you have dwelled inside yourself to move forward and to thrive, which will be the next level, to actually move healthily and bloom into whatever you are and who you are and whatever you're doing, because this comes from the intentional side of yourself, the intentional side of yourself that you put into the self-development aspect that started within the first three levels. This comes through just the naturally occurring strengths and the naturally occurring parts of yourself where your interest lies, and that will that will just essentially be where you can thrive within being your best self effortlessly. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, within every level there's going to be its own trials. Even within the thrive level, it's going to be its own trials. But at the same time, at this thrive level, you did all the necessary work at first. So now you know how to move forward and how to bob and weave through the obstacles, how to learn who is your best self in the midst of whatever niche you're doing, or even whatever niche there is out there that you want to add on to your current to add on to what you're currently doing. Now, there is also a possibility where these four levels could also be obtained within the same year, or it could be obtained within on a yearly basis, or you could also be in different levels for different things too. Again, it's all based upon what happened within the last year of whatever niche that you're doing, whatever career you're doing, self-development that you're partaking in. Like for me, I am embarking in a single season. And within the single season, bro, it's just an understanding, a re-understanding of myself as a 24-year-old man. And I have now understood that although my personality may be the same, in some ways, in some caveats, but it is also different in other ways too, because 24 me is not the same as 21-year-old me. 24-year-old me in the spiritual aspect within a man of God is not the same one as 21-year-old me. Um, and that all just comes from with the patience and the season that I am in of learning and relearning myself, so I can know how to push that towards how to be a better man in the next relationship, how to be a man in the relationships that I am currently in, how to really exemplify my pure masculinity through the love of Christ that is inside of me. Um, and so, with that being said, through those four levels of, or we can call them seasons, through those four levels of seasons inside of the year that we are currently embarking in, March 2024, you will also consistently see where there are people um, going through comparison, going through comparison within the self and what they see, um, within what they self and they know that they can embark on. And Jay also made a good point about this too, is that comparison is not the problem with the year that we're going through, because comparison is essential. Wherever our social impacts are, it's always going to be someone looking over and either comparing to what they're doing to something else or vice versa. Now, comparison can easily be translated into an envy, and that's where the problem comes. And that's where, we might be chasing goals that are not ours, essentially. Because through that, we will start to see that, like, the envy aspects of ourselves start to self-loathe, and we start to self-deprecate ourselves, because we either see what the good people are doing and we know that we are capable of doing but not doing it. We see that we are not doing exactly what our purpose is, because we are trying to chase the clout, or we're trying to chase what the more popular thing to do is in these days, when God, or I'm gonna say God, when God is putting in our footsteps exactly what is needed to be done for ourselves to find our self fulfillment, our self joy. And through that is the only way we can be able to beat the envy aspect. Because even like on the social medias of TikTok, there's so many podcasts, or even within myself, there's so many podcasts out there, and there's so many different people that are also speaking into men, um, on the biblical basis, on the non-biblical basis, and all that. And I could easily find myself in the envy aspect, because um, of my current life situations. It may be a timing thing. It may be I may not feel worthy enough, or I may feel that um, there are other people more that are more qualified to do what they are doing as far on the speaking basis, when there are consistently other people or other influences in my life that are allowing me to speak, or that are telling me that there is a calling on my life to do the same thing. So, using that example, other people, or a lot of us in this world, would also choose enviness, because they think that there are not enough pieces to the pie, or there are not enough seats to the table, or there's not enough room for us to do the same exact calling, when God wants us all to be stewards. They want us all to do something that is beneficial in this life. Um, Whether if that is in the podcast realm, or in business, or within, um, being a doctor, all the above. It's always going to be someone else is going to be doing the same exact thing that you're doing. Now, the mindset and the perspective that you hold is going to be something that you can either use to gratify yourself, or that you can use to gratify God to uplift you, or you can use a different flip side perspective that will break you down. And that breaking you down will just automatically prolong you away from the purpose that you're supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to be all the way up there. And you're supposed to all the way be exactly where you're needed to be those 2, 3, 4 years ago. But due to the fact that you had enviness, or due to the fact that you procrastinated, or due to the fact that you just did not feel that you were worthy enough, you are not exactly where you needed to be. And there's always been a calling over your life. And in 2024, in March, right now, the question is now, like, are you allowing envy to pull you away? Are you allowing envy to not help you identify what type of year this is and to progress from there? And so yeah, I mean, God created us all uniquely. Even if we are following into similar niches that we would see in public, or that we would see out there in the social medias, or whatever it is, we're all still created uniquely. We're all still created in our own way to be viewed in our own way. And through that, God is well pleased. And so, yeah, man, we really just have to, especially as men, bro. Like, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I will go into public and there's just so much. I mean, there's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of boastfulness. There's a lot of bragging. There's a lot of um, putting themselves on a pedestal. Which, okay, cool. Like, you've did what you're doing. You're being successful at what you're doing, and that's great. The problem comes where there is either too much comparison. Like, comparison can always be applied way too much, to where there is some reason a competition to who is doing what more. Or on the flip side of that, whenever you are speaking to other people and they are doing or they're telling you exactly what they're doing, and you know you should be doing that, that's where envy lies. And we have to really check ourselves to understand that, like, being applied with envy, having envy applied way too much, can impact how we respond to ourselves and how we respond to other people, and how we create connections as a whole. We can't live this life by ourselves. So, in final words, the four important decisions we have to make in our life is: one, we have to make a decision of how we feel about ourselves. All right. So in the next 365 days, the next time in March 2025, after we look back in the past year, did we accomplish things that we wanted? Did we really fall deeper into, for me specifically, did I fall deeper into God like I wanted to? If you are a man of Christ, how much of a man of Christ did you become within the past year? If you're a businessman, how much learning or how much experimenting did you do within the past year? And how did that change you as a person? And are you satisfied with that? Because if you're not satisfied with that, then that's an issue. And the last thing you want to do is get a whole year later and realize that you did not do exactly what you planned and set out to do. Even within me, I realized a whole year later, I did not meet the goals and the expectations for myself that I set a year prior to this. And that is a certain accountability I have to put on myself, and I have to make time for, and I have to put more focus into. So the second thing, though, is that who do I choose to spend my life with? And that is significant others, that is spouses, that is loved ones, those people that I get to choose to have in my life, or that God is ordaining to put into my life. Who are those people? Because this determines the fulfillment that we have in life, the enjoyment, the genuine connections that we all so long for. And then it also And it also just ends up becoming the people that we spend the most time with that we didn't realize um, it was to be that way in the past year or so. And the third thing is that what do we do for money? If you have not did something that is as a man of Christ, if you have not did something or are not doing something that is progressing you towards building your financial or building your healthy money habits or anything else that has to do with your career, you need to start now. Because and in March of 2024, back in January, I'm sure you said something that had to do with like, my goals and I'm going to be this and that and the whole nine. I'm going to start this business and all that. And that was great and that was cool. But if you have not started yet and we're 3 months in now, what are we doing? We have to start something. We have to build something, and not saying that you have to jump off the cliff and bungee jump, bro. But you have to take a step up the mountain because that's going to be the first step. Every single day, one step at a time, are incremental steps to reaching the top of that mountain that you have set out to begin at the beginning of this year, or shoot, that you've probably set out within this last year and you've either neglected it or you've made excuses or you procrastinated or all the above. And so um, it automatically just reciprocates. Um, it automatically shows us through our career, through our persistency in the money in our financials. It builds us as people too, because even as a man of Christ specifically, I believe that through building the financial status or through building the money habits, money can be allocated towards things that are helpful or that are beneficial within our families, our church, our for me, the nonprofit I want to build in the future. Um, and there are so many ways that money can be allocated towards ways that can build you as a man wholeheartedly, and it inevitably just reciprocates the fact that we are not self-made people. We need other people to connect with other people to build the relationships that we need to build ourselves in that money aspect too. So that's the third way, what we are doing for money. Um, and through the reciprocation of how we need other people, the fourth thing is that we need to know how we are serving and how we're giving back to other people. Because the last thing that anybody needs is someone else that is self-loathing, or the last thing that anybody needs is another man that is all about himself and all about the Benjamins. You know, when you probably have Benjamin on the side of the street that needs your help too. And so those are the four things that are important decisions that we need to make in our life is how we feel about how I feel about myself, who do I choose to spend my life with or my time with, what we do for money, and how do I choose to serve the world and give back. And then going back to the four types of years that we may have, or the 4 years or 4 seasons of years that we may have, or the four types of seasons that we may be embarking in. The learning involves needing curiosity. The experimenting involves needing openness. The performing season involves the need for commitment and consistency. And the thriving season involves humility. And the lack of complacency is needed. The lack of complacency specifically because why do all that work if you're just going to just sit? All right, and so that is all I have. Men, do not fall into the level of enviness, because that is not how God has set out for us to be. That is not how Jesus lived this life. I mean, that's exactly what he told us not to do, is to envy other people. Choosing to love other people is much more important to compare and envy. Choosing to love other people is much more important than to love and to envy. All right. Please, if this was helpful for you, like, subscribe, comment. your thoughts on this video, and share it with somebody that may need to hear the exact words that I said. Um, I love you. I hope, man, that you get to find this video as helpful for yourself. And bro, I everything that I said is something that I've felt or have been feeling too. So it's nothing that has just been said out the side of my mouth. It's something that I am also inevitably talking to myself too also. So you're loved, you are appreciated, you're comforted, and go be great at the end of the day. All right.